Well, well, well. So, we're here today to talk about the comparison to the eventual rotation back to the 3-block cycle with MTG sets. The reintroducing of the core set. I believe it's 2019, 2018. I'm not sure, but the fact that Wizards is going back to the core set and the 3-block cycle really shows how weak the 2-block cycles were in terms of like BFZ, Oath of the Gatewatch, oh my god, Almond Cat, Hour of Devastation, all that stuff. And they introduced the introduction of lottery cards where you make it or break it, and the fact that, you know, when they're going back to the, you know, the actual like rebalanced sets of all the core sets, the new sets coming out, and I really feel like that's very balanced out. There's more financial value in every pack. It looks like you have a better shot rather than spending two, depending on where you buy your packs from your LGS or online, $275, $419 plus tax. You know, you get 10 cents back. It doesn't feel good, but now it's like the new sets, like you don't have to jerk the left nut of Nicol Bolas to get a good card anymore. You have a fair shot now. It's more balanced out, and all the rares. Good God, have you seen the prices? Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I basically opened one box of Ixalan, and I pretty much got my money back right off the bat.
Yeah,
so,
like, what is it, like Kaladesh, you would buy like a booster box, and then sometimes you would pull, I've seen it happen, you pull like, what, $30 in value?
Yeah.
Like, and that's just in jank. Like, just jank. And including mythics, no lottery cards. So, the question is, it's more bang for your buck now? Is that what we're going back to? So
possibly. There's actually a lot to talk about there, though. On one hand, the 2-block cycles. So Magic players just have the attention span of a goldfish. Like it's just boom, Ixalan's here. Okay, cool. When's the next thing coming out? Like already, people are
tired of Ixalan. They're like, moving on.
So
tumbleweed.
The one thing about the 2-block cycle I felt like was it kind of moved the story on a faster pace, and I think that was maybe intentionally done from the start, just to be a temporary thing, just to get this whole Gatewatch thing out of the way. I don't know if
it did make Standard cheaper. It did link a lot of the lore together in Magic. BFC eventually carried on to, what is it? Shadows over.
Yeah,
the
but
reintroduction
now
of
that
Shadows.
Nicol Bolas bitch slapped the Gatewatch, like,
yeah.
All right, we're done with that story. Let's go back to 3 blocks.
So it's kind of like, I don't know where they're going with it, but the fact that I feel like now they're going to start focusing more on Jace, Vraska's coming back now, you know, and it essentially sets up for the other planeswalkers of the Gatewatch, Gideon, you know, Liliana, you know, Nissa, and like, I think Tamio kind of like GTFO'd by the time before Nicol Bolas, so she's fine. Yeah. But the other planeswalkers of the Gatewatch pretty much left on a, like, you know, a cliffhanger. So
I guess it does set it up for that. So I wonder if Ixalan is pretty much going to be exclusively Jace out of the Gatewatch, just Jace's story. I don't know if we're going to see any of the other guys. I mean, Vraska's there, so I read a little bit of the Magic story.
Possibly.
They're on the card itself. It said Vraska for the first time in my life try to save someone's self-kill, and it looks like Jace in the card. I didn't really look into it, but it looks like she's like going over the cliff, like trying to save Jace. Which is interesting because I know there are enemies.
I mean, they're enemies because Vraska...
He is the Gatewatch.
He is the knight. So, essentially, they met in Ravnica. Vraska was like, what's up, fam? I need basic terms. What's up, fam? Can you help me out? Jace was like, well, I don't really think your objective is like just. I think it's incorrect. Vraska was like, you turned me in, blah, blah, blah. You know, 3 seconds later, completely screwed Vraska over. So I'm wondering if we're going to get something like an evolution of Jace, where he gains back his power, gains back all his confidence back, all his magic. And we might see possibly maybe another tier level of Mind Sculptor. That's a good speculation because if we got like, you know, we have, you know, discount Tom Hanks Jace from the Castaway, and, you know, he has no idea, he makes a friend, he pets a dolphin, he names him Wilson, and they go on adventures. But he can't be building shanky, like cheap life rafts. So I feel like we're gonna get an evolution of Jace, possibly from the new set. We might see a tier level of Jace Mind Sculptor, but just a guess.
We're also seeing kind of a development more of Vraska's character. I felt like I didn't really, and I actually kind of want to go back and read all the Return to Ravnica stories now, and then kind of read all of the Ixalan stories, because Vraska's character seems to be being more developed, as rather than just like an assassin, for the Golgari or whatever. Now she's an Ixalan, like she's a friggin' pirate. And,
they don't really give her that much time in Ravnica's block. They just kind of like, here she is, tumbleweed.
That's kind of the problem with Ravnica, is that there's just, you got all these guilds and stuff, there's so many angles.
There's 10 guilds.
Yeah, you can't cover everything, so I think it pretty much focuses more on one guild at a time, or a few guilds, such as in the original Ravnica, I believe it was a Boros character that was the main focal point. I don't remember his name, but
we'll call him White Red Guy for now. But
and so I followed the adventures of White Red, and I don't know what happened, honestly. I always enjoyed Ravnica, but so for the third planeswalker, we have Huatli on Ixalan. She, as far as I know, is not aware of actual planeswalking because of the whole nature of the plane. They can't get out. Also leading to what will likely be a card later on is Angrath. It's I guess, a Minotaur planeswalker. You can see on some of the cards, like Angrath's Marauders, that he doesn't give a shit about loot, even though he's got his own band of pirates. He wants to get out of Ixalan, so he's willing to burn the whole plane down doing it. So I'm kind of excited to see. There's a lot of different angles to look at here. There's the whole pirates and Angrath and Vraska. Jace's whole story. That's the little sliver of the Gatewatch kind of thrown into there, and then just overall the Golden City. What is it? They got that mystery kind of looming over the whole thing. So, and Vampire Conquistadors. It's awesome. But
other than that, like, the set's balanced out. I think a lot of Magic players are happy. Wizards came in, the bus pulled up and said, we're not going to hose you guys anymore. We're going to give you guys what you want. We're going to rebalance the set out. They can't promise to make the set cheaper for standard players, but, with standard players, budget is always never a word in the vocabulary if you want to play competitively. It's essentially thrown out the window. You have budget alternatives, but you're most likely you're not going to be as competitive as the other players who have spent the money and bought the cards outright for full or a little below MSRP. But other than that, there's a great, very balanced out. It feels like the whole plane of Magic was just like one shit show in Innistrad, and then Wizards was like, hey guys, we need a fresh start. So they brought in Avacyn, brought the Cursebreaker charm. They took everyone out of Host Town, and they're like, here you go. We got you a new set. Hopefully they keep it up. Hopefully it's not a repeat of the Innistrad block, where it's like amazing for the first block. The second block, they're like, nah, here you go. Here's some little value here and there and 2 cards. And then the third block, a little bit better, but really kind of a weird way to end the block.
Are they going back to big, small, small? Or is it big, small, big?
I think they're going, from what we're seeing, is it's going to be small, like a big, and then the middle block is always a small set, so it's a repeating pattern.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's going to be a small block, and then the third block's going to finish off the series. But we'll have to see. I'm really glad they haven't brought any ideas of bringing back the 2-block cycle, because it makes standard competitive play, all that stuff, very complicated, because you have multiple cards from different sets coinciding with each other, and it's just kind of like, I don't really know what we're doing. A lot of players do have that ability to tack on cards, strategies from different sets, but it makes everything a little more complicated. I like complexity as much as the next guy, but I'm ready to get something fresh. I hate looking at a card for multiple formats, like, oh great, that's still in, and that's still in, that's still in. So I imagine having a fresh start with every game, every format. I think it's a very nice touch, but other than that, I think it's going to be probably back a transitioning back to more of the Scars Innistrad block cycle, which I enjoyed very fondly, and hopefully they keep it up. And
how do you feel about core sets coming back for one, and it being three sets in one block.
I think the core sets definitely. I know there's a lot of flack for it, but I feel like the core sets are gonna give that initial staple bunch of cards where all the players have access to them. You have those cards where it's like if a set is lacking in certain kill spells, burn spells, draw spells, the core set definitely makes that buffer up in terms of the 15, 20 cards that is needed for those certain decks. You have cards like Mana Leak. You have cards like, I think they brought in, what was it? If you put in stuff like Bone Splinters, Tragic Slip, all those cards are relevant, and if every color has its own balanced set of cards to make it a little fair, have their initial staples, I feel like players will be more inclined to play more rather than, have to think more and think out of the box, which we like, but at the same times, there is always room for generic options because every card game needs its generic option. Certain cards like Yu-Gi-Oh! You have to have your options, but sometimes you can't help but be generic with certain cards because it offers your deck more versatility. It's a toolbox, and you'll have those access to the cards to kind of elevate your game even more. So I think the core set definitely introduces a lot more cards, maybe new cards.
Yeah. Well, also I like core sets with kind of a twist as well. Like Magic Origins, I think replaced kind of the core set that year. I think it was the same time slot.
It was
that was great.
Considered the last core set at the time.
Yeah, I liked that idea. Like going back in time, seeing kind of their origins, and we got a lot of unique stuff.
Freaking Gideon is from Theros now. I was like, what the motherfucking fuck?
Yeah. But that aside,
we don't count him as a planeswalker.
I will say, when I first started, it was 3 block cycles, and the thing is, I was either heavily invested in it, I really loved the set, or for like a whole year, I just didn't care.
What's that? Were you just not interested? I think
Theros was when I first
block.
Just kind of dropped. So I started at around Scars, and I love New Phyrexia. That was awesome. Like Scars is okay, and just got better and better for me. At least personally.
Also,
Innistrad is fantastic.
Fantastic.
All year it was just great. And then Theros came around. I'm like, all right, I'm not playing this game anymore.
It was essentially like a table flip for us, and Theros was
Theros, but
I think it was the same time. It was great for us because we stepped away from the game personally due to a lot of reasons. Conveniently, during the Theros block, we kind of came in around, I believe, when all the blocks started going to the two block format, where we're like, we have no idea what's going on, but we were Commander players, so we didn't really care. We had access to all the cards, which is probably why we like Commander. I dabbled heavily into Standard when I first started playing Magic. I like the 60 card format. I was coming from Yu-Gi-Oh, so it was more easy for me to be that asshole running, a tier 1, even sometimes tier 0 deck. But when I go to Commander, you definitely have to get that long-term game, and this is why we're going to focus on Standard, Commander, Legacy, Modern, their pros, their cons, and a lot of the different things on this channel. But I'm digressing from actual subject of this video. But in general, Magic is definitely improving. There is a lot of speculation when Ixalan came out. They're like, maybe it's a watered down set, but I think there is hope. I feel like the Dark Knight Wizards are rising again. So I really feel like we're gonna see a definite increase in Magic players, because a lot of Magic players were very discontent with the 2 block cycle. People were like panicking, and I feel like we're gonna see an increase, positive energies throughout the Magic community. Hopefully, don't quote me on that yet. And
it's already quoted. It's recorded.
It's fuck me in the ass. Fuck me in the ass. But anyway, so the only problem I see now, the Ixalan block is very great in terms of value as of right now of recording this video, but the positive thing I wanted to say about Ixalan was it's great and balanced, but at the same time, if you look, you can't think short-sightedness is a very, very flawed in a lot of Wizards' motivations, and that's how I feel right now. I feel like they're blowing their load way too quickly. They are essentially excited that all the players, they're like, oh my god, there's an increase, after Omnicat and Hour of Devastation, I feel like they did that on purpose, calling a set Devastation, like, Really? Really? Damn it. But anyway, with the announcement of, Explorers of Ixalan, that game format coming out, and they have Iconic Masters coming out in November, and they have Unstable, which is the, the next in line after Unhinged and Unglued. They have all these products just rolling out, and then it's just like, you already had Ixalan, you have a premium set coming out, you have another off-brand set coming out, not off the Ixalan, story, and then, or gameplay, sorry, and then you have Unstable, which is another side set, and next thing you know, in the spring, they're going to introduce, the Rivals of Ixalan. So, you're just, I feel like as a Magic player, I'm just getting slapped on the dick, every month of the year, because it's just like, it's like wallet busters, because you're just sitting there like, man, I need to start saving money, but Wizard is like, fuck you!
Well, this was actually a pretty big debate. I think the professor had a debate on this. It was, should we have less content versus more content? And I can see both sides of the argument in that, sometimes there's just a lot in that you kind of want everything, but you can't have everything, So,
I feel like it's like I feel like with that, the comparison, the best similarity I can give to this situation is essentially, it's going to be very, it's like essentially like, it's going to sound very vulgar, but this is the only thing I can think of right now in terms of that. You're beating your meat for the next year, a year. You give it a break, and the outcome is great. You're like, okay, what is my life? But anyway, so you're essentially, Wizards is just beating their meat consistently, and they're just blowing their load over and over. And I'm just sitting there like, man, and the one thing that as a Magic player we're afraid of is you blow your load. Are the Magic players, the audience for the product, going to suffer because are we paying for a product that has less quality but more frequent, or are we paying for a product that is great in quality and more frequent? But you can't be dragging your audience, your customers, your fan base through the mud, because if you're introducing product consistently, what does this mean for the secondary market? What does this mean for... You got to add everything up, because if you kill it off, you're beating it to a pulp. You're essentially going to lose a lot of players, because they're like, I can't... A lot of players will be like, I can't keep up. And a lot of... What you get is a lot of players with the budget to afford all this.
Get burned out.
Yeah, you'll get burned out, and people are going to be like, I need a break, and you're going to potentially have players walking away from the game. I would rather have 3 sets for the year, and a premium set is nice. It has a lot of reprints, but I really feel like that should be a once-in-a-while thing, and it really serves as a treat rather than being like, oh, another premium set for the first 6 months.
I think, so Iconic Masters, it looks like...
They're really banking on Mana Drain, aren't they?
That's the card. That is the card. But, I would be ecstatic to pull an Elish Norn or something. I feel like... But the thing is, you're paying more for the pack. So...
it's... MSRP, it's what, $10 a pack?
I think so.
10, 11, give or take?
Here's the thing, you already know Wizards is, cashing on the fact that these cards are more expensive. That's already, what's happening here. There's no debate about that.
So, camera cut out. But other than that, as we were mentioning off, it's great that Iconic Masters is reintroducing iconic reprints. Yeah, there are a couple, but at the same time, there's a lot of jank that should not be in there. And, we're seeing... It's a system where Wizards, I feel like, is now introducing a lot of janky rares, and there's a couple boxes where so you hit it, you make it, or you break it. There's no middle ground. You can make your money back. You can make greater than your money, sometimes even double your box's worth. But at the same time, I feel like, is it worth it? It's essentially playing a lottery with a premium set. I don't think it's worth it. If you're looking into buying the cards, it will definitely initially drop the price of the reprints for a short matter of time, and that's why you go and you snipe those prices while they're low.
It'll go back up.
It'll go back up. The great example is Scalding Tarn. When Modern Masters 2017 came out, Scalding Tarn was sitting at an all-time high. The reprint plummeted, and the lowest I've ever seen it was $33 MSRP, TCG mid.
And everyone saw that, and they're like, holy shit, it's only $33. And they go, got better. And now it's way back up to 50, 60.
It's like 52.
52.
But yeah,
okay.
But you can see some on 60. But the initial conversation that we're trying to have with you is that we're just like you. We're players that care, we like to listen, and we really want to just give our opinion, because I'm pretty sure you do. We're just two assholes that found a camera. But that's the whole point. We're just giving you our opinion. We think X, Y, and Z, and you're probably wondering the same thing. Maybe some of you guys agree, maybe you guys disagree. If not, you know, I don't care. I'm giving my opinion. So, like us, love us, hate us. We're just here to stay. We really want to give our opinion of what we want to do. I know I drilled that into your head probably a million times here with Julian, but, you know, it's pretty blatant that the Magic, you know, the flow of the Magic products, it's changing. And you can be a part of that change, or you can be questioning it. And I feel like now that Wizards is under the microscope, it's like, hey, we don't want these janky boxes anymore. We don't want these janky sets with the chances of getting product that is, you know, considered a lottery card. And, you know, we want more balanced sets. So with that in mind, I feel like we're on a trend, on a positive incline, but at the same time, we are thinking there's too much product out in the pool right now. We're diluting the market way too much, depending on what products are coming out, how fast they come out. But right now, we're sitting, what is it, like on 3 more products until the 2017 of the year 2017, and then we don't know what the next 2018 is going to, early 2018 is going to bring. So with that in mind, we want to leave that on a closing thought. Is what do you guys think? I feel like we're on a positive incline. We just have too much product coming out, wallet busters, and we definitely will keep an eye on a lot of things. We'll definitely do a lot of openings. You guys are in for a treat. We're hoping to do a lot of new things this year, and we hope you guys join us for the ride. I'm out.